There's lots of talk going around right now about what the Steelers are going to do in the first round of the 2024 NFL Draft. We've certainly speculated a lot here on the show about what they're going to do at number 20. But today, I'm going to take some time and go into rounds 2 and 3, which really is where the NFL Draft is won. Finding these gems in round 2 and in round 3 that can make an immediate impact for your football team. Onmar Khan did a great job last year getting guys like Joey Porter Jr., Keanu Benton, all these different guys on day 2. I think that he's going to do it again, and today we're going to be breaking down all the top draft targets at all the positions of need for the Pittsburgh Steelers heading into the 2024 NFL Draft when it comes to day 2 of the NFL Draft. Now, make sure you click that subscribe button right now if you haven't already, because we're just getting started with all the premium Steelers draft content that we're going to be having on the channel here leading up to the big day in Detroit, where the Steelers are going to be taking somebody at number 20 overall in the first round. We got the latest Steelers draft news, going to let you guys know all the players that the Steelers are visiting with, also in-depth scouting reports on all the top Steelers draft targets, positional rankings, all these different things, and also a weekly Steelers mock draft for you guys coming out usually later in the week. It's all 100% free, so if you love the NFL Draft and you love the Pittsburgh Steelers, this is the channel for you. Join the over 50,000 strong here at Steelers Talk by clicking that subscribe button right now. So now, let's start with the team needs that the Steelers are going to have to address in the draft this year. And I think there's 4 that you have to address, and then there's 2 that I think you would like to address, but it's maybe not a huge need. So you got center, offensive tackle, cornerback, and wide receiver. Those 4 things, before the end, or at least going into training camp, you need to have answers at those positions, in my opinion. Then if you get somebody at a defensive tackle or a safety, that's all well and good, all right? That's all things that you can take care of. They would help the football team quite a bit. You need depth at those positions, but I really think center, offensive tackle, corner, and wide receiver are the priorities for the Pittsburgh Steelers heading into rounds 2 and 3. And depending on who they take in round 1, you can probably mix and match, get rid of one of these needs, but that's what we're looking at right now. So let's start with the center position, because we've already gone over the centers in a video here on Steelers Talk where I break down my rankings for the center position here. I got Jackson Powers-Johnson, number 1, Graham Barton, number 2. Both those guys, I think, could go round 1 based on their tape. Zach Frazier, Cedric Van Pran are guys that I would take in round 2. Good players there. Bo Limmer as kind of like an emergency option. Think he can play right away in the National Football League. I would draft him in round 3. If you want more in-depth scouting reports on all the top centers, we actually did a video earlier on Steelers Talk on the top center draft targets for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I'm going to put the link to that one in the comments and description of today's show. So now let's move on to offensive tackles here, because it's a very interesting offensive tackle class. And there's lots of good players. There's some developmental type players that could be good down the line. There's some kind of lower upside guys that could be starting right away. And if I'm the Pittsburgh Steelers, I'm looking for somebody that can start right away. I don't trust Dan Moore Jr. to start anymore. Broderick Jones, he could play either on the right or left side. I don't really care whether they're a left tackle or a right tackle. What I want is somebody that can survive as a starting tackle in the National Football League from day 1. So let's start in round 2 here, where most of the good guys that I would really want to go get are in round 1, but these are some guys that could be available in round 2 that I would be okay with the Steelers going out and getting. J.C. Latham, lots of people are really high on Latham. And he might even go round 1 here, but if he falls to round 2, that's where I would probably take him. I don't think he has the best lateral agility in the world. He's got good size, all these different things, but I think he's probably more of a guard in the National Football League, and I think he should go in round 2 personally. Then we got Jordan Morgan out of Arizona. I think he's going to be kind of a low upside, high floor type of left tackle. Really smart player, really good with his hand placement, all these different things. I think that he could be a day 1 left tackle in the league. And then Blake Fisher, really good film from Notre Dame on the right side. So if you want to move Broderick Jones over to the left, where he played in college, Blake Fisher, I think, is somebody that can play in the league right away at right tackle. But then if you don't get any of these guys in round 2, in round 3, if Blake Fisher is still there in round 3, I think that'd be a fantastic value. If he's not there, Christian Jones out of Texas is a really good talent, in my opinion, had arguably the best week at the Senior Bowl this year in Mobile, Alabama. Was really impressed with his ability to win in the one-on-one situations. Roger Rosengarten from Washington, great athlete, would be a really good fit in this offense with Arthur Smith, with how much wide zone we're going to be running here in the years to come. So really like his athleticism, but he needs to get stronger in terms of his play strength, can get bullied against the bull rush. And then Javon Foster from Missouri is somebody that I'm a big fan of. I'm higher on Foster than some of the other people. I think he's kind of like Jordan Morgan, where he's a lower end, kind of lower upside, higher floor kind of guy, plays with good technique, but he's limited in terms of his athletic ability. So now you be the GM down there in the comments section. Should the Pittsburgh Steelers take an offensive tackle in round 1 this year? I certainly think so. I think that's where all the great value picks are this year. And if you're really going to want to prioritize the run on offense this year, you better beef up on the offensive line. I'd go get a tackle round 1, but let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. Yes or no down there in the comment section for today's pinned comment. YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. When that happens, take advantage of that time by giving me a yes or a no. So now let's go on to the cornerbacks here. Well, there's lots of good cornerbacks. I wouldn't say there's a lot of high-end talents in this draft class, but there's no doubt about it, man. The Steelers need at least one corner in this draft. They might even need to draft 2, all right? Because you got Joey Porter Jr., he's a stud. Dante Jackson is kind of like your stopgap corner here, can maybe move to the slot if he needs to. Corey Trice Jr. Is kind of a roll of the dice here, coming off that injury. Of course, he's a 7th-round pick, but he's got super freaky athletic ability and long arms, good strength. Darius Rush is another guy that was taken last year who's young and fast and big. So maybe one of those guys turns up for you next year, but you want to be more surprised and pleasantly surprised by those guys. So I do think that the Steelers need to get a cornerback very early in this draft. So let's start with round 2 here. Kool-Aid McKinstry is somebody I have a true first-round grade on, but because of the foot issues that he's had, it's definitely possible that he falls to the top of round 2. So if you want to trade up for a corner, Kool-Aid McKinstry at the top of round 2 is probably the guy. Other than that, Renardo Green from Florida State, one of the best press man corners in this year's draft class, in my opinion. He's a day 1, number 2 starting corner. That's exactly what the Steelers need in this type of defense. Mike Sanastrell out of Michigan, probably the best slot defender in this draft, maybe besides Cooper DeJean and Terrion Arnold. But Sanastrell, really good player, man, great blitzer. I think he'd be a perfect fit in the Steelers defense from the slot. Then Andrew Phillips from Kentucky, kind of a little bit of a tweener here in between slot and outside corner. He can play either. He's a little bit smaller, but plays with great instincts and is really good in coverage. Then in round 3, if Renardo or Andrew Phillips falls to you here in round 3, I would absolutely go with either one of them. They are projected to be 3rd-round picks per Pro Football Focus right now, so that might be the value picks right there. Kalen Carson from Wake Forest, really good player. In terms of his film and in terms of his physical attributes. He looks like an NFL corner on film. Could be a day 1, number 2 guy. Ennis Rakestraw out of Missouri is a little bit higher on other people's list, but I don't love the physical attributes. I think he has good tape. He plays with really good technique, both in zone and in man. But I think he's more of a number 2 guy out of the box. Then Kyrie Jackson, big physical type corner. That's going to probably go on day 3 here, or not day 3, round 3 here. TJ Tampa, long arms, not the best physical profile in the world, but like his game, very physical, fits what the Steelers like to do. And then this, I hope I'm saying this right. DeCamerion Richardson from Mississippi State. I think I nailed that. His name is super tiny in our box there because it's Mississippi State mixed with that long name. But man, he's got awesome physical tools. He's going to probably take a year to develop, but really like his skill set. Then Max Melton out of Rutgers. He had a top 30 visit with the Steelers, I believe last week. Can play either outside or inside, kind of like an Andrew Phillips light. Now coming up here, my top day 2 wide receiver draft targets here on day 2. But before I get into that, let's have a word from our sponsor here at Game Time, which is the fastest and easiest way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater in your area. If you're somebody like me and like to get tickets last minute, I mean, the Pirates are doing damn good right now, man. PNC Park, voted number 1 ballpark in America. You can get a great price on some awesome tickets to PNC Park right now and watch those red-hot Pirates play some baseball right now when you download the Game Time app today. Shout out to Game Time, man, because they sent me to PNC Park last August. It was absolutely a fantastic experience. Definitely going to go back this summer to watch some Pirates baseball. Game Time is the fastest growing ticketing app in the United States of America and is the only ticketing app on the market that gives you complete peace of mind with your purchase. You can see the view from your seat before you buy the tickets, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive at the ballpark, stadium, or arena. And tickets are also sent directly to your phone instead of your email. Another great feature that Game Time provides for their users. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets now with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS. It's one word, all caps, for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. So now let's talk wide receivers here, because even though I think the Steelers may be looking to trade for a bigger name wide receiver like a Brandon Ayuk before the draft, if they aren't able to get something done, they absolutely need to get a legit number 2 wide receiver that's ready to go right out of the box heading into the 2024 season. So they'll probably have to spend a second or third round pick. If Xavier Legette or Adonai Mitchell somehow fall into the second round, those are guys that I'd be willing to trade up for in the early part of round 2 if I were Onmar Khan. Both of them are perfect fits for this system. And even though I don't think either one of them is going to be available at the top of round 2, if they are, go out and get them. But now, pick number 51. I would go Ricky Pearsall out of Florida, can play slot, can play outside, great route runner, really physical as a run blocker, really love his mentality. Then Roman Wilson out of Michigan, very similar. Might be a slot only, but he played damn good on the outside at the Senior Bowl week, man. Really reliable hands, great route runner, and he has a personal relationship with Mike Tomlin that goes back to high school. Then in round 3, there's some more people here that I would consider. Roman Wilson, if he falls to round 3, which is possible, I think he'd be a fantastic value. Jermaine Burton out of Alabama, big-time talent, but some off-the-field issues. Tell me if you've heard that one before, Steelers fans, when it comes to the wide receiver position. Malachi Corley out of Western Kentucky is going to be a yak machine in the league. Not the best route runner, though. Javon Baker out of UCF, going to be a really solid number 2 receiver for someone right away, in my opinion. Keon Coleman out of Florida State, big body, good run blocker, good after the catch. You know, he doesn't have the best long speed in the world, but he has great hands. He's a red zone threat. Really like Coleman's game in round 3. And then Malik Washington, one of the best slot receivers in this class. I think, he's almost 200 pounds despite being, I think he's like 5'9". Super small guy, but he gets the job done in the run game, and he was 3rd in the NCAA in yards after the catch in 2023. So make sure you guys click that thumbs up icon right now if you haven't already. If you are a real one, you watch all of our shows, you support the channel, make sure you click that thumbs up icon because it really does help out the show. It pushes this video out to more Steelers fans like yourselves. So tell the YouTube algorithm that you like the show by clicking that thumbs up icon right now. So now let's go over defensive tackle and safety, because these are 2 positions that I think the Steelers may want to add a player and kind of help them out. But I don't think it's a major priority like the 4 other positions that we've talked about earlier today. And I would not consider using a draft pick in rounds 1 or 2 on a defensive tackle or a safety. But in round 3, if the right guy falls to you, I would potentially think about it. So most of these guys on these 2 lists are probably going to not be here in round 3. But if they are, they're definitely players that I would consider going out and getting if I were GM Onmar Khan. So let's start with the defensive tackles. Dwayne Carter out of Duke. Right now, he is outside of the top 100 prospects on the Pro Football Focus big board. I think he's a lot better than that. So if he falls to you in round 3, very explosive guy, lots of great physical traits. I think Mike Tomlin would absolutely love that. Michael Hall Jr. out of Ohio State, a true pass rusher, a little bit undersized, but could be a replacement for Larry Ogunjobi moving forward. Aruk Orohoro from Clemson, similar. He's got great athletic traits, but needs some development. Same thing with Braden Fisk out of Florida State, and also the same thing with Chris Jenkins out of Michigan. So if any of these guys are there in round 3, I think you can think about it depending on what players are available at other positions. Then you get to the safeties here. I love Tyke Smith out of Georgia, and I actually love Javon Bullard out of Georgia as well. Javon is somebody that's kind of highly regarded among NFL people. PFF has him ranked higher, but I actually like Tyke Smith a bit better as a strong safety. He plays super instinctual, great tackler in open space, really good in coverage. I like Tyke Smith better than pretty much any other safety in this year's class, and that's something I'm planting my flag on. But also Tyler Nubin from Minnesota brings great versatility. Kalen Bullock out of USC is going to be more of a true free safety. And then Dadrian Taylor Demerson from Texas Tech as a free safety, really explosive player and athlete in my opinion. And the reason why you'd get a safety, guys, is you could maybe move Minkah Fitzpatrick to more of like a nickel star position, allow him to roam in the middle of the defense, read the quarterback's eyes, and make plays. We talked about it in our video regarding a potential Justin Simmons signing, where getting another safety to add to this 3-safety rotation could really open up Minkah Fitzpatrick to do Minkah Fitzpatrick things. So if the Steelers can get a really good third safety in this class, that's definitely something I would consider adding if I were the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, shout out your guy down there in the comments section. Which day 2 draft prospect or prospects do you want the Steelers to take in this year's NFL draft? You heard my take today. Let me know your take down there in the comments section. Now, for more content on the Pittsburgh Steelers, NFL draft stuff, etc., you can find me on X at Jack_Sperry, and you can find me on Instagram at sparedog.football. That'll be it for today's show, guys. I appreciate all of your support. Make sure you click that subscribe button right now for more in-depth, premium, extensive Steelers draft coverage all throughout the 2024 offseason.